Welcome to the Combot Collective.
Hello everyone and welcome to another TCC10 and Battlebots news episode here at the Combot Collective, bringing you everything you want to know about the 2021 Battlebots season. It was another interesting week of Battlebots here. Very good fight card in my opinion. One of the best episodes we've seen so far for week 5 of Battlebots. And we have some news here, some sad news, but only 2 articles of news here that we'll get to here in a moment. And a very interesting TCC10 countdown. We added another member to our voting committee this week. So we saw a couple robots jump in due to the new member and a bit of shuffle, but I think we have a really solid top 10 list right here with the top 5 that I think are genuine contenders, all 5 of them, really. The 5 main contenders for BattleBots this year. So let's not waste too much time and let's start moving forward here. If you're enjoying what we're doing here, you can follow us on our Facebook and our Instagram, which you can find in the description below. And from there, you can find our Linktree, from there you can find our Discord server. So feel free to join our community from there. And along with that, we are also on Spotify if you want to hear the audio versions of these episodes. Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you can find your podcast, really. So sit back and please enjoy the rest of the episode. Starting off with our first bit of news this week. Not much news to cover this time. Just only 2 topics here, both of them having to do with Robots retirement, which has been unfortunate, but that's just what comes with the heavyweight class. Robots evolving and everything. One robot from the UK, one robot from the US here, starting with this British robot. This is coming from Robots Live or Team Apollo, Team Orion, wherever you want to know him as. One of their mini heavyweights, Monte, the 2-wheel drive Twackbot, which we've seen compete in Russia. We've seen it compete in the UK, and we recently saw it compete in Saudi Arabia. They're retiring this version to make a brand new version of Monte, which is going to be competing likely in those countries in the future. And this is a version that they're going to be doing a YouTube series on, showing off how to build a heavyweight robot. So that's going to be really fascinating to see. But the husk of the prior Monte, they've pulled out the internals and everything. It's the weapon, the wheels, and the chassis itself. That's currently being sold on eBay right now. So if anyone out in the UK or even in the US, if you want to middleman it somehow, find someone to buy it for you. There's a whole heavyweight, or like 2/3 of a heavyweight. I'm out on eBay right now if you're interested in doing that. We were actually talking about it a little bit before the show, us finding a way to buy it, but I don't think we have the money for that right now. We're still fairly new here, but I digress. Maybe one day we'll have Mon TCC entering Robot Ruckus or something, and I don't know. We'll probably draw Big Dill or something in the first round. Who knows? But in the meantime,
well, I'm saying we could beat Big Dill.
Yeah, we could. I think we could beat Big Dill. I think if we just design. I think if we just design it like pussy, if we make it like a new Pussycat, I think we could win.
Big Dill is gonna have Big Dill's a good bot, but like, it's gonna have a hard time getting like a grab on a black bot like that.
The arm is like such a it's a thing. It's gonna be there, and it's gonna make it like and
yeah, but it's not a.
Let's just make it Blade Runner then. Let's just make it like a heavyweight Blade Runner.
You could do that. You could flip the hammer arm like 90 degrees and make it like a Twack bot instead. I think it would be a longer arm then.
Yeah, we don't mind that. We can rebuild it. We will have the technology.
We have the technology.
We will have the technology, and we can enter it into like any kind of event. And when we have it, we could compete in that in the Brazilian Sportsman event. I think it'll be really good to actually like compete in that circuit and just see what stuff they have.
Yeah, absolutely. We can become the sportsman legend with this robot here.
We will be the sportsman legend. We will go to every sportsman circuit in the world and just take it on. TCC. The Sportsman Collective, that's what we are.
Is the C silent?
Yes.
Is he spelled CSPORTMAN?
I'm sure they say I'm sure C is S in some other country. I'm sure that's how I think it might be. I think they have that in Germany, though I could be wrong. I think that's B's.
I'm thinking of G's
yeah,
and K's
exactly.
and H's in that language. I don't know about
Yeah,
all
exactly.
that.
You've got all kinds of things. But yeah, if you want to get Monty, do it before we get it because we're planning to get it and we're coming for you. We're coming for you, Sportsman
Coming
Circuit.
for you. We're coming for
Coming
you,
for
Big
you.
Dill, and whatever
Yeah.
New Zealand has, and
You're
Robots
done.
Live. We're coming for you, Nelly. Double
Mammoth
two-headed
extinct.
Flamingo. BattleBots
We
won't
got
accept
this.
us. We're too non-damaging for all that. They'll be like, oh man, Twackbots,
Oh no,
that
but
thing's
yeah,
too cool for us.
we'll find a way. We'll show our damage.
We'll
We'll
find a way.
break the BattleBots executives wheels if we have to on his car.
We'll
Look at
put
the
a-
damage we dealt.
We'll put a 1 pound spinner on the front.
We'll slash his
tiny one.
tires. We'll slash his tires with a spinning weapon.
A little lighter match.
We'll get Monty to get his tires.
There you go. But yeah, it's a robot that has clearly plenty of mileage on it. It's competed in 2 continents already. Could compete in 3 continents. Bring it to America, somebody. And but yeah, it's like $200 American. It's like 150 quid or whatever you cool British kids say. I don't know y'all's lingo now. I know y'all have Brexit and all
50
that.
quid, that's not bad.
150? Is it quid?
Oh,
Do I know my thing?
yeah, £150.
look at me go.
Yeah, quid is slang. Yeah.
Look at me go. All that Top Gear got me through it. But
Hey.
yeah, it's probably gonna be like 400 by the time it sells out. But it's when we're recording this, there's still like 3 days left to bid. So yeah, get out on that as we now move on to our American robot retiring. Carry on to our second and last bit of news here. We talked about Monty retiring, even though not completely retiring, just this version of the robot. Of course, they've already said they're going to be rebuilding a new version of the robot for the UK tour and probably future international events. But a robot we're actually going to be seeing the last of at the end of the 2021 BattleBots season and likely the bounty tournaments as well is they're very popular in a very short time, but now gone fairly soon. Duck. On the recent Team Black and Blue Duck AMA on the BattleBots subreddit last week, Hal Rucker did made this comment about the future of Duck that a fan asked on the page, and I quote, okay, long answer about next season. We knew back in Season 3 that it would be difficult to win matches with a defensive bot that lifts. Since then, the kinetic weapons have gotten much stronger and much more durable. Also, since then, the judges' scoring has changed, so it's almost impossible for us to win a match without a KO. 5 points for damage, 3 points for control, 3 points for aggression. Well, we don't do too much visual external damage to our opponents, so it's difficult to get damage points, and in most cases, we need to win all 6 control and aggression points. But most bots have some aggression and control, so it's very difficult for us to win all 6 of those points. Bottom line, the change in scoring has made it super difficult to win a match, and virtually impossible to win a giant nut. Therefore, we've decided to retire Duck. It's been a really fun bot to play with, but it's clearly an obsolete design, and we need to move on to something new. I prefer to fight the best bots because it's more fun. There's no shame in losing them, but beating them is also super fun. I don't think that last sentence had anything to do with the part, but I read it anyway. It's all good. So yeah, Hal Rucker is retiring Duck. Of course, Hal Rucker, a fan of such bots like Marvin, Ringmaster, Black and Blue, and Whoops and Robo Games, which Whoops, of course, is part of the Duck lineage. But we know he can make some crazy stuff. Of course, you have Crazy Susan as well, and Buster as well, his super heavyweights from the past. Who knows what's going to be next for Hal Rucker, but what do you guys think about a retirement of one of BattleBots' real fan favorites here?
Yeah, I do love Duck. I mean, Season 3 and Season 4, it was a lot of fun. It was really good, but this new design just sadly wasn't it. And it's a shame because I thought it had a lot of potential at first, but there's too much weighing it down. But that said, this opens the door for him to bring a crazy design in, and I hope he does because I know he's one of those builders who's definitely capable of it. So hopefully we see something insane down the pipeline from him next season.
It's a shame. I do agree. I agree with Pori. Yeah, like this new Duck design has been, I'd say ambitious, but clearly faulted in its execution. It's not done well in terms of its fights we've seen so far, and where overall design of it all just doesn't feel as durable as the previous Ducks. Now, I for one love Duck. I thought the Duck gimmick was fantastic, and I think Duck definitely did well in some of its earlier season fights, and there are some fights where I feel like it should have won, but of course, due to the way BattleBot scoring works, it is heavily weighed in the favor of a machine that can actually deal some form of damage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to enter a control bot into BattleBots as a whole is automatically putting you at a disadvantage, which is a long debated and discussed topic in the robot combat community for a long time. And probably will continue for as long as robot combat lasts.
Yeah.
But I do have to agree that really, if Duck was going to come back, it would either have to go against its whole gimmick and design, actually have like a damaging weapon, or retire. And sadly, the latter has been chosen. It's a shame to see it go, but I, for one, am glad that it's gone out sticking to what it is instead of embracing this heavily damage biased meta.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. I would love to see him just like use Duck like maybe in the sportsman category. Like
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
that would be I feel like that could be something that he could theoretically do. Like, just take like the old Duck or this Duck and just like enter it into like Robot
do like what
Ruckus or
they're
something.
doing
That way,
with like what Team Invade's done with Eruption, make it like a sportsman specific bot.
Oh
I
yeah,
can definitely
totally
see
could do
them
that.
bringing it to Florida a bunch of times. I would love to see that. In fact, I think it might
Yeah.
do pretty well over there.
I love sportsman.
But
yeah.
it's just unfortunate right now because like I feel like there is a lot of promise in this design of Duck, or at least I thought that at the beginning of the season, and I saw some shades of it potentially when it like kind of used the beak to clamp at the back of Witch Doctor to push it around. Maybe before this was announced, I was thinking in the future we could see like a clamping style of Duck, but it looks like now they're just completely backing off from the concept. It is just unfortunate, like how Rutgers said, for them to win judge's decision, they need to dominate the fight pretty much all the way and get all control, all aggression. And you just look at Duck's wins. I mean, look at Cobalt. Look at it's slipping me. Reality. And other robots like that. These are robots that they had to fight uphill and come back. They won these fights in like the last 30 seconds of the match where their opponent finally died out. Even my favorite fight ever, Free Shipping versus Duck versus Mecha Rampage. Duck wasn't doing anything for the entire first half of that fight, and then finally came through, started lifting some bots over and around during the end of it. It's just a really uphill battle for Duck in any context, any situation, and especially when it faces a robot that that isn't really going to be killing itself on you like a Dragon Slayer or like a Bronco. There's just not much that Duck can do. So I get how Rucker was doing. It's a shame that the 2020 Duck didn't come to fruition because I feel like that out of all the Duck designs we've seen, that one seemed like it was the most combat efficient in terms of just being able to flip robots over and control them in that regard. But it's a real shame, especially after how Rucker has put pretty much 2 years into this version of Duck, and to see it just do the same thing all these other Ducks that struggle to do, maybe even more so now that we're seeing the set screw setup that they have, just kind of let Duck bend inward. Things are not going right with this Duck, and it has to be frustrating for the team. So I get where they're coming from with this setup. And now it's time to jump into our TCC10 here. Like I said at the top of the episode, we have brought in a fourth member to our TCC10 voting team here, putting their own take on the power rankings, and it makes things up a little bit, having a fourth person in. We've seen two robots that, despite not finding it, have entered the list. Overall, I really do like this list. We have 10 really solid robots who have put up great runs. No losses at all in this pack of robots here. And this top five, I genuinely think is pristine in terms of the best robots in the field right now. So let's not waste too much time and jump into our number 10 right now. So coming in at number 10, the only Team Waiachi robot still to make the list this year, and a robot we haven't seen fight in a couple weeks now and not scheduled to fight this week either. We're talking about Fusion, who still buzzing with the big win against Cobalt, the unexpected victory and its biggest victory of its career. We did see Hydra get the win last week against Gruff, get that out of the arena, which is exciting. Team Waiachi really back on track now. But Fusion still in the wake, expecting this Copperhead matchup fairly soon. We don't know if it's round 3 or round 2 yet. They're on deck. They're waiting for that. And in the meantime, there's not much we can do about it. It's nearly fallen off the list now. It's gone down the ranks twice over now. probably off the list this next week. Hopefully, we'll probably see a fight in week 7, I would like to imagine, now that we're getting to the end of the regular season here. We'll just have to see with Fusion. And once again, we're talking about Fusion and Copperhead nearly back-to-back right here. Back-to-back this week. Copperhead sitting at number 9. Just about as long of an absence as Fusion. In fact, they might have been in the same episode. I don't remember on the top of my head. Copperhead, the winner of the split decision victory against Lockjaw. Looked great. Weapon was very aggressive. I don't think it was a split decision call personally. I think Copperhead had that one in the bag pretty firmly. No weapon from Lockjaw, even though Donald Hudson, an aggressive driver as always. But the team behind Copperhead, a well-oiled machine. We know that they have plenty of spares, well prepared for the rest of the season. We don't know who they're fighting besides Fusion. Would like to definitely know. Big chip on their shoulder, big main event bot after the top 4 seed last year, red hot start to this year. They're primed for a KO soon, and I think that fight against Fusion is going to be a KO win, depending on who it is. But Copperhead's just been more reliable in the past. I got to lean towards Copperhead whenever we start talking about that fight in the future. But we'll have to see. Copperhead's sitting at number 9 right now, back on the list from number 10. Going down our list here after a really good spot, returning on the list last week, but still on the list, the team from Las Vegas, the home team here with Jackpot. Las Vegas Combat Robot is captained by Jeff Waters. 2-0 with the knockout win over Malice, falling down to number 8 here, though, due to inactivity this week. But still one of the best fights we've seen this week against their robot relationship they have. I do like the new shirt they put out, though. It's a really nice special shirt for the occasion. I wish more teams did that. But I digress. Jackpot's various setups, whether it be the defensive setup or the mini-bot setup with Ace. This is a robot that has really evolved. One of the most evolved robots I think we've seen so far this season, even though it doesn't look like that too much externally. We know the team comes prepared. They keep it cheap, but they keep it really professional. We could see them go 3-0 again this year. I would not be surprised at all to see these guys become one of them robots that make a real legacy of being an undefeated regular season bot. Will that carry into the playoffs? We will have to see, but things look good for Jackpot here. So talking about the new member joining our team, moving some robots up that we didn't expect, one robot that he ranked fairly high, and with good reason, entering our list despite some inactivity. Back in here is number 7 with Rotator. Of course, the win over Kraken, still its only win this week, but a very topical time for Rotator to get this spot after that destructive victory against Kraken, as we're now primed and prepared for the battle against Black Dragon, of course. 2 compact robots that are not known to die. In fact, I don't think Black Dragon's been knocked out ever, and Rotator hasn't been knocked out ever since it's really been rebooted since the Bite Force fight. Everyone goes down to Bite Force anyway, but that's going to be a pretty spicy fight. That one might air after the fact of us posting this video. We'll have to see. But as it stands right now, after the week 5 episode, Rotator sits at number 7 here after the win against Kraken. It's a very destructive robot. Might even be the best horizontal spinner in the field right now. As we move on to number 6, another robot entering the list for the very first time. And at number 6 here, it was 1-0 with the YouTube exclusive fight against Sub-Zero. As much as it pains me, no flipper, no luck. Got the judge's decision victory there, but it wasn't even close, really. Another judge's decision victory here against Blacksmith. But this is a red-hot Blacksmith. This is a robot a lot of people, I think, expected to win this fight coming in with the spinning weapon. People thought they might have been able to irk out the judge's decision. But this weapon, the Mary Special, one of the most impressive things I think I've seen this entire season. And really a thing that might potentially carry Axbots forward, I think, a bit further in the future. To give it more potential. It's very Overkill-esque. There's been a lot of comparisons to that. But with the long blade sword kind of style thing that they're going with there, that's more of a target point. Of course, you still have the very pinpoint point spot up front. But it's still the whole blade. I mean, they took out Blacksmith's chain with it in the opening strike. I love that weapon. The weapon clash, by the way. And it was just fantastic to see this thing in action. I loved the range of it. It was so long, but still lightweight. Shatter was still nimble with it. It was versatile. I absolutely, I popped out big time for when they were able to go with the backhand attack after being pinned on the kill saws thanks to Blacksmith. Just such a good performance by Shattered. Even I had to put them on the list. I think they went on everyone's list for this week. Sitting at number 6 here and 2-0. Even their judges' decisions. This has just been a great season for Bots FC so far, and I can't wait to see who these guys fight next. They have won me over big time. And now we get to number 5 here, and like I was saying, genuinely, probably the 5 robots that have the best shot, I think, out of the whole BattleBots field right now. I would probably put Ribbot with all these. Ribbot, I don't think, is on the list. We have it as an honorable mention. If you see on the social media, it is an honorable mention on the bottom there. I think it's just due to the strength of schedule. It's just been really rough for Ribbot. I hate to digress here talking about Ribbot, but just wins against Overhaul and Defender control bots is just not what the fans are expecting. There's been some talk online about the weak schedule for Ribbot. It's not their fault. They're just there to fight, so I'm not blaming the team for that. But that's just how it be sometimes with the schedule making. Even I can admit Sub-Zero got a really easy schedule, and so did Beto last year. So that's just how some bots end up through the season. But here we're talking about 5 main robots that did make the list here, starting with Whiplash here. Of course, the Vasquez family still haven't fought since the 2nd episode, which is another robot that feels like has been absent for a really long time. There's been a few robots that have felt this way this season, but Whiplash here ready to go with a 1-0 record, big knockout against Bloodsport, put it on the shelf, moved up a little bit thanks to the new member in the group, putting it up here, up on the pedestal, up in the top 5, and deservedly so, because this is just... It's just one of the best robots in the world right now, and it has been for a couple of years, and it will be for a couple more years, probably many more years, with how versatile and adaptable the Vasquez family team are. They've always been successful in robot combat ever since the Robotica days, so it's what you can expect from them as they move through the season here. And at number 4, going down fascinatingly enough, even though they won this week, with the explosion we've all been waiting for, finally, Uppercut and nuking, free shipping in the middle of the arena. What a beautiful impact. I guess the producers finally gained their revenge on Gary Jen after the flamethrower incident in 2019 against Bronco. It was a knockout against free shipping in 158. I think the reason, though, why Uppercut went down this week is due to the interesting circumstances of the finale of the fight. Of course, free shipping did goozle itself. It was definitely Uppercut's win when they backed up and threw themselves up on the wall. But it is definitely worth noting the Uppercut was not moving right at the end of that match. It was crab walking. It could not spin out of the red square or whatever square it was in. Not looking good. And if free shipping was on all fours and did not get itself pinned on the wall, this might be a completely different story. And it might be a much more frustrating match. Something of the Cobalt versus Duck in 2019. But instead we got something a little similar to Razorback versus Ice Wave in 2015 where... even though Razorback was still moving when Ice Wave died, and just how Razorback was propped up, that's how the count out played out due to damages. And that's just how it be sometime in the sport. Uppercut, though, 2-0, still in the top 4 despite moving down to its lowest point so far this season. But still a prime robot and one of the biggest contenders for the Giant Nut, in my opinion. And now another robot going down from 2 still to a very respectable number 3 as we enter our top 3 is Tantrum, a robot that just seems to get better and better and better with every single fight it has. 2-0 with a knockout win over Lucky and their brand new driver in the last round. Helped a little bit by the arena hazards, but they would have got away anyway. Just saved them from another flip, really. Just a really good run for them so far. Dominated Malice. Shame went to the judges, but... sportsman-like team, that's what they wanted. Might have knocked them down a couple seeds in the ultimate picture, but might not matter ultimately. I think Tantrum's going to be, definitely a top 5 seed robot entering the playoffs, depending on who they get next. Of course, still some weapon reliability issues out of the first Malice fight, but they seem to have been repaired in the Lucky fight. Still one more regular season fight to gauge how that weapon's going to be for the playoff picture for them this year. But yeah, moving down a spot just due to the inactivity this week. Very fascinated to see who Tantrum gets for their round 3 fight. And you want to talk about moving on up real quick from not on the list for a couple weeks all the way up to number 2, our biggest jump we've seen on the TCC10 so far. It's what you expect. It's the defending BattleBots champion. The first fight against Hydra was shaky. Forks caught in the ground. Hydra not really working. Only 2 big hits from Endgame primarily. To this one. This was all endgame. This was a dominating win. It was a back-and-forth slugfest in the opening minute. It felt like a minute and a half, 2-minute fight. When I was putting together and I saw the fight time was a minute 8, I was like, there's no way. It did not feel like that. It was a bombastic main event. One of my favorite main events so far this season. Credit to Witch Doctor for getting some good hits in, but endgame They talked so much about the ground game this episode, and we just saw it here. The new forks that Endgame used, kind of that middle ground territory, not too long, not too short. They worked wonders against Witch Doctor's face-on plow setup. Ripped up Witch Doctor big time. Those two impactful strikes that threw Witch Doctor up into the wall, those might have been out of the arenas last season. That was a fantastic showing by Endgame. Just ripped apart Witch Doctor and put themselves way up. Almost number one, in fact. They were number one on our new persons list, and number two on all of our other lists, so definitely deserved a spot here. Great run by Endgame this week. And still, sitting at number one, these guys own the TCC10 this week. I've had to change the graphic. All I've had to do was edit the main event when they went 2-0 a couple weeks ago. It's Sawblaze still, and it's probably going to be Sawblaze for a while. They've been so good. Took Minotaur to town in their welcome home party, crashed the party, ruined it for them. And took the Red Hot Mad Catter to town as well. Made them look like a middle tier robot. Got them caught up in their saw blade weapon, their hammer saw, and just full control. There's too much left we can say about Sawblaze. We've talked about so much being a number one. You have to give it a top tier robot. You have to get a crazy opponent. Throw the sink at it in this next round, because if anyone's going to rival Endgame for that top seed, and if Endgame goes 3-0, it will be the top seed. It's going to be Sawblaze. But yeah, we'll see. I'd be really surprised, but it will be really fascinating to see if Sawblaze can keep this hold all the way through till the regular season. Only time will tell, though. Sawblaze, super impressive this year. Definitely my favorite robot, outside of Uppercut, this year for me. They both look so good. MIT just puts out the best robots. Time to wrap things up here for our TCC10. And that'll wrap things up here for another week of TCC10 and BattleBots Weekly News. To recap, Monte and Duck, both retiring. Monte just retiring
This
the
was
robot.
the Combot Collective. I'm the market hardware and Discord.
Likely in Russia and Saudi Arabia in the future. And then on the other side of things, Hal Rucker, Team Black and Blue, retiring the fan favorite Duck after this season. So enjoy it while it lasts. Can't wait to see what the team brings out next season. Hope it's something involving Crazy Susan. I love that robot, but I'm biased to crazy designs. And very good TCC10. My favorite top 5 I think we've had so far. I keep saying it throughout the episode. I really love this top 5. I think this shows off the most prime contenders for the championship we can have. Outside of robots like Ribot and Sub-Zero, we can only hope. I love Sub-Zero so much, but I digress. Really good CCC10, even in the 6 through 10 slots. Fantastic robots, especially Shatter. That's my personal MVP of the week with the Mary special weapon. Like I said, that's a potential thing we can see move Hammerbots, Axebots further into relevance in the future. It's only solidifying why Shatter is now the top Hammerbot in the world, pushing Beta out of that spot, I'd say. But that'll do it here for us at the Combot Collective. Thank you as always to Pouring Nog and Mr. Redman for joining me here. You can find their websites in the description below as always. That will do it though here for us. As always, expect more predictions, expect another TCC10, expect great stuff on our social media pages like the drinking game. That stuff is fun to make and fun to see y'all react to. And you tell me to get rid of the Send Cut Send stuff because it's such a bog, and that's fine if you don't do the Send Cut Send stuff on the drinking game. I don't blame you. So many robots are sponsored by it. Even Bush Hog is sponsored by it. So I'm digressing here. If you're enjoying what we're doing here, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can join our Discord server. You can find that in our Linktree, of course. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you find your shows. So yes, that will do it for me here. I'm Sterling Brown of the Combot Collective, and we will see you next week for another TCC10.